guys, and welcome back to my channel. I have a very interesting video for you today. So I'm actually really excited about it. November is Adoption Awareness Month, and while we have not adopted yet, I thought I could celebrate that by talking about why we chose adoption and specifically foster to adopt and foster care. So I kind of touched on it in our announcement video a little bit, but I thought I could kind of talk about how we got to that point of officially deciding and even choosing an agency. I believe the adoption conversation all started after the Ellie and Jared IVF grant video, where they announced who everybody that won was, and we weren't one of them. We had not won it, so we did not win the IVF grant. Andrew immediately said, I think God's telling us to adopt. And that was when we kind of more majorly started talking about it. It's kind of always been a part of the conversation, but that was when we both kind of felt things start to go that direction more, and those were heavier, more prominent conversations at that point. And then a few months later, we went to Peru, did so many wonderful things at the orphanages there, and we were very unsure of what adoption for us looked like at that point still, and we were very much like, is international what we're supposed to do? We were trying to figure it out, and we were having a lot of conversations about it. While we were there, he brought up foster care.
Hey honey, I think we should do foster care.
I don't know how I feel about fostering.
No, really, I think we should do foster care.
I don't know, maybe.
Then why did we go to that secret meeting and start the process?
Oh. And you guys know my feelings on it. I was not completely against it, but I was definitely afraid. Just because foster care is so unpredictable, you have less of a guarantee with foster to adopt than you do with traditional adoption, I think. Obviously, we have not gone through this yet. We are still in the approval process, so I can't speak from experience, but from the way I understand the systems and from stories I've heard, foster care to adoption is a much more tough road than just traditional adoption. It's a little riskier, it's a little more, you take the chance of it not working out. And I was totally up for doing foster care later. I was very nervous about the idea of starting our family that way. I absolutely would be open to it later. I don't know that I would start with that though. Yeah, I have to eat those words now. Simply because I know me, and I know how emotional I get. I know how attached I would get to like literally every child we would have come into our home. And I was scared if I would be able to handle it, and if it was something I really could get through for doing that, for starting our family. And that really was the key part of it, was that being how we started out, not doing it at all. Like I've said, I've had best friends in the foster care system. I seriously was up for doing it at some point. I just had to settle with starting our family that way. And as soon as we started those conversations, I started wrestling with it. I started trying to figure out what God was wanting us to do. I started trying to figure out how I felt about it. And I had to kind of really think through all of the details that I already knew about the foster care system and what it might look like. We have another couple close to us that has not only done foster care, but it is in the process of adopting a girl out of foster care. And they have been amazing to talk to, and we had pretty much already decided before we met them, but that kind of drove it into place for us. And we found an agency, And we started the process, and the more we've gone through it, the more we've talked to the people at the agency, the more we've gone through the classes and the paperwork and everything we've had to do for it so far, it has felt like the right thing. It has felt like what God wants us to do. And the more we're getting a picture of what specifically our agency does and what it's going to look like for us, the more I feel like God has been preparing me and preparing us for this for a very long time. One specific example is in some of the homework for the classes. You guys know that I am getting my master's degree in behavioral analysis. One of the questions on the homework was, what is this concept? And I can't remember what the concept was anymore, but what is this concept in applied behavioral analysis? And my degree will literally be in applied behavioral analysis. I saw that, and ask Andrew, I pretty much started crying. Like, I was flabbergasted. I wasn't surprised, but it was just, it caught me off guard how obvious of a sign it was. Like, I already knew this was what we were supposed to be doing. I already had a ton else that had told me that God had been preparing me for this. I hadn't known it the whole time, but that was what he was getting me ready for. And I've seen a lot of that in my master's degree stuff. Just things that have come up since then that it's obvious that that is going to be a major way I use everything I've learned in that. And everything I've learned in psychology, period. Like, even before my master's degree. And then I saw that, and it was just another, like, blatant hint that, yeah, you're supposed to be doing this. And that's helped a lot. And it's little things like that that happened in between us starting the conversations and actually deciding and trying to find an agency that made us finally both on the same page. And that's what I joked about in the video, that God and Andrew kind of pushed me into it, because Andrew started talking about it and he was very adamant about it. He felt very, very strongly about it and really has felt this whole time that that's what God wanted us to do. And I had to wrestle with it, and I have a lot of times in my job or while I'm driving where I listen to podcasts and I'm kind of in my own world with them. There's not somebody around me I'm really talking to. I'm just listening to it on my own. And I have a ton of podcasts on my phone because there's a lot of time to kill. There were so many podcast episodes that popped up talking about it, that I'd never talked about it before, all of a sudden talking about it. And then we went to the movies, and there was a commercial for foster care in the movie theater. And just so many things pointing to it, and there have just been so many things confirming it since. There are so many Bible verses about taking care of the orphan, about God's plan of adopting us as his children through Jesus Christ, and how adoption is a huge part of his plan and really the ultimate picture of, like, him bringing us into himself. That it's been really amazing since then to see all of that in a stronger light, not new light, but a stronger light, and to really just have that so confirmed and encouraged, and it's felt amazing. That's our story. If you have any other specific questions, let me know. Leave them in the comments below. I would love to answer them. If you have any questions, not even just about adoption, but foster care also, or foster to adopt, like any of that, if you have any questions, I would love to do a whole Q&A on it or just more videos on it. So leave those in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and share it with everybody. And if you were not already subscribed, click the screen and subscribe. We have some really exciting things coming up, and you can join the ride. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!